vanillascorner.com. Thank you for joining me. Today I am sharing my vanilla bean blonde macaroon recipe. So this is a recipe that I created while on a dietary cleanse, and I often get really creative when I'm on a cleanse because I have a big sweet tooth. And that's okay. We're all made to crave sweet flavors. It's how we get babies to drink their mother's milk. So really, it's just this natural inborn instinct so that we can thrive and survive as a species. So it's okay to want sweet flavors. It's okay to have them in your day-to-day diet, but we certainly can make healthier choices when it comes to our sweets. So even when day-to-day I am incorporating sweet flavors like winter squash and sweet potatoes and fruit, sometimes for me it's just not enough. There are times at the end of a meal, especially after dinner, where I want to have a little dessert. Or I tend to crave something really sweet like that mid-afternoon crash time. I want to reach for something sweet. And if I pick the wrong thing, then I'm going to have that quick energized burst, and then I'm going to have a crash, and I'm going to fall really hard, and then I'm going to be tired and probably a little cranky. So this recipe will satisfy and fulfill that sweet craving, but it's absent of all bad things. It's absent of all refined sugars, and in fact, it's absent of most allergens or things that people would typically be sensitive to, with the exception of almond butter. It does incorporate a little almond butter. So if tree nuts is an issue or concern for you, then I would recommend trying this by substituting sunflower seed butter. Okay, so the only equipment you're gonna need is your food processor, and you're gonna need a cutting board and a knife. So we're gonna start with approximately a cup of pitted dates, and I don't measure them out. Actually, I always just use 10 dates. I have read and I have seen recipes where people claim that they can throw whole dates in their Vitamix blender and it pulverizes them. If you are used to doing that and you're comfortable with that, then that's fine. It makes me a little nervous. I feel like adding these pits, which here's one if you can see. I mean, they're pretty good size. They're like an inch and they're rock hard. So I feel like adding these to my food processor or my blender may prematurely burn out the motor or dull the blades. So I always pit them. And what I do is just take a knife, slice down the middle, and I pop it out. It's really easy. Sometimes, obviously dates, they're sticky. That's kind of the glue. Not only are they sweet, but they're gonna be the glue to hold these little energy bites together. So if you're having a tough time working with the dates, then I recommend just running your knife underneath some hot water, and that will help you slice through them easily. Also, if your dates seem to be kind of dry, if they're sitting around for a while or exposed to air, they might dry out and get a little hard, then just soak them in some warm water, like 5 or 10 minutes before you do your recipe, and that will help soften them up, and that will help with your recipe too. So we pop 10 dates into our food processor, and then what I have in this bowl here is 3 cups, I don't know if you can see, 3 cups of unsweetened shredded coconut. Okay, so we don't want to buy the sweetened because that's full of refined sugar, and we are making a healthy dessert. Okay, next I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. So I make my own vanilla extract. It is absent of alcohol and sugar. Actually, it's really so easy to make. I've got the recipe on the blog, and I will post a link on the video if you have any interest in how to make your own vanilla. So much less expensive. You can make it in bulk. Really easy to do. So we've got 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. We just dump everything into the food processor. This is a no-bake recipe. It's really easy. Okay, so we get our vanilla in, and then the next item to go in is a 1/2 cup of softened coconut oil. So I melted this in the microwave. I'm not a big fan of the microwave. I really actually don't like it. And sometimes I will just put it in a container, like if you put it in a glass and you could just put it in warm water to help soften it, that works too. I did it in the microwave today just to save time. It is in the 30s here in St. Louis. It's February and it's cold out, and there is no way that my coconut oil is gonna melt on its own, so I had to help it today. Okay, next we're gonna do the seeds of a vanilla bean. So again, you wanna find a vanilla bean that's soft. You want it to be plump and soft. That's how you know that it's viable and good. And I just take, this is my little trick, I take a sharp knife and I just slice it lengthwise down the pod until you can kind of open it a little bit. So when I first started working with vanilla beans, which was when I started making my homemade vanilla extract, I would wind up with these little black seeds all up underneath my fingernails. And although my fingers smelled amazing, it was really messy. So what I do is get that split open, and then my trick is to use a serrated grapefruit spoon. So it's just got these little serrated edges, and it's perfect for just running down along the length of the pod and scooping out the seeds. So if you can see, I have all these beautiful little black vanilla bean seeds. They're so fragrant, and they really add a lot to this recipe. So I like to use this spoon. I also use it for scooping out the flesh of things like avocados. It's useful for that. Really an expensive tool, and I don't actually use it for grapefruit. I use it for many other things. Okay, and then we add our almond butter. So again, if nuts are a concern for you, just try sunflower seed butter. I haven't tried that yet, but I'm sure it's really good. Okay, so I do about a tablespoon. I'm not super exact with measuring. I'm just kind of dump in a little bit here. So I forgot to mention, with the coconut oil is just a really healing, healthy oil. It's full of medium length fatty acids. So medium length chain fatty acids. And that's really healing and anti-aging for the body internally, but it also helps to satisfy you. It's healthy fat, so it helps to fill you up. So between the coconut oil and then having the almond butter, you'll be able to eat a couple of these and you'll really fill up. So it's a great snack, or if you have it for a little dessert, it's almost like just a little like protein energy snack. Okay, last thing is just a pinch of sea salt. So I just add this in. It helps to bring out the flavors, not too much. And that's it. Okay, so I'm gonna put my lid on, and then we're gonna pulse this until it's all combined and we have a nice uniform batter. Okay, so I've processed the batter. You may find that you have to scrape down the sides a little bit, and actually, I think I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna grab a spatula. It's a little, it looks like there's a little bit more coconut up top than down below, like it didn't get very thoroughly mixed. So I'll pulse it a little bit more. Okay, that looks better to me. All right, so now we test it. I'm just gonna take a couple of clean fingers and kind of press it together. Okay, so this is a good batch because it's starting to stick here, and we need that. If it's falling apart, then you need to add a little bit more oil, a little bit more butter, you need a little bit more liquid. And if it's runny, which if you use these proportions it shouldn't be, but if you find it's runny, then just add a little bit more coconut in until you get that good consistency. Okay, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna take a parchment-lined baking pan, and we're going to roll the batter out into small little balls. And so this is just a little plug for the environment. This is the parchment paper I use. It's If You Care brand, and I get it on Amazon. I buy it in like 4 packs. I buy it in bulk because I use this all the time. So it is free of bleach, chlorine free, so it's a nice product. I feel good about using it. Okay, you take a small amount and you just press it into a ball. That's it. And you know, this will probably make a couple dozen, it might make 30, it depends on the size that you use. I like to make a little bit smaller ones. You can eat a few more for snack that way, you can get away with it, but also if you're going to be serving these to kids and they have little mouths, after we freeze these, even when they're frozen all the way through, they're not going to be too difficult to bite into if you want to make larger ones. And if you find that it's tough to bite into them, you're just going to need like a minute or 2 for them to thaw, and they'll be fine. Okay, so I'm back and I have rolled all of my batter into balls. I have 15, 18, 20. Okay, so I have a couple dozen here, and I did make them a little bit larger. So this is also a great recipe to do with kids. My kids are currently in school at the moment, but this is something that all of my children would love to get in here and help with. It's a good recipe because it's quick and easy. You don't have to turn on the oven. You don't have to worry about burns. But just for a safety note, so especially if you're working with kids and they're reaching into your food processor to get the batter to make the balls, make sure you pull out the blade. If you leave the blade in there, then they're likely to go in and slice a finger. So I didn't share that before, but just pull the blade out and kind of knock the batter off of the blade back into the bowl, and then go ahead and form them. So what we'll do is take these 2 baking trays and we're going to stick them into the freezer and just lay them flat for like 15 minutes. And the reason we're doing that, we're going to freeze these treats and they'll keep for a long time that way. But if we were to just throw them all into a freezer-safe bag or container now, they're going to glue together and you're going to have one huge mound that may be difficult to break apart. So if we just get them 15 minutes separated, then we can throw them into our container or our bag and you'll be able to pull them out 1 or 2 at a time. So I'm going to pop these into the freezer and I'll be back in 15 minutes. Hi, I'm back. It's been 15 minutes and I just pulled my vanilla bean blonde macaroons out of the freezer. So they're ready now to just throw into like a freezer storage bag, or you can put them in a freezer safe container like a glass container, and they won't stick together. And you can pull out 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 at a time, however many you want. And you can either eat them straight from the freezer or give them a couple minutes to thaw if you want them to soften a little bit. So I was very restrained while making these because I had the video going. Normally I eat probably half the batter before I get them rolled out, which is the real reason why I had no idea how many it actually made. So I'm gonna give one a try. And look, they're pretty. They're like little snowballs. It's so good. It almost tastes like vanilla fudge. It's that good. It's so super sweet. No refined sugars, absent of most allergens that people are going to have or food sensitivities. Really easy to make, really quick. You don't have to turn on your oven and they're ready to go. So I will probably be snacking on these most of the day. I love to pair these with green tea, like a really earthy Earl Grey green tea. Such a good combination. So I hope you enjoyed. I hope you get a chance to try these out. And if you do, feel free to let me know how you like them. All right, thanks for tuning in. Bye.